Hi, I'm Miss Powell. I'm the English teacher at the Dallas campus, and just thought I'd share a lesson with you, knowing that we are so happy that several of our students have passed the STAR test in English. We just got their scores back, and I'm proud of many of you for doing that. Um, One thing that we've been looking so closely at reading, we now need to look at the writing skills that we need to pass that STAR test. So, thought I'd share a lesson with you on what makes up a good essay. What do we need to do to pass the composition portion of the STAR writing test? So, we start out with a thesis statement. We basically include our thesis statement in the introduction of our essay. So how do we write a good thesis statement? Let me share a lesson with you and see if we can determine what we need to do to write a good thesis statement.
Yeah!
Yeah, how do we write that good thesis statement? How do we write a thesis statement? It's probably the most essential part of the essay. Yeah, we're going to be able to write strong and coherent thesis statements today. There are certain parts of an essay, and we'll look at all of those parts as we look at more and more things that we add into the essay. We always start out with our introduction, with our attention grabber, kind of a summary of the support, and then the sentence that guides or directs the ship, the thesis statement, a little background information that kind of summarizes those support paragraphs that have their topic sentence and have evidence or analysis, and then our conclusion that summarizes and adds insight and repeats the thesis statement. A thesis statement is a sentence that is used in an essay that serves as the guide for the essay and directly answers our question or task that we're asked to perform.
We speak student.
Now, what's an essay?
How to structure a thesis sentence a la Schmo. Structuring an essay is like structuring a survival hideout in the middle of a zombie outbreak. It needs to be strong from top to bottom. The most important part of your essay is something like the barricade of a survival shelter. It should be super strong but flexible enough to let the good guys in and out. Your reader, i.e. your teacher, is the good guy. If your thesis statement is weak, your readers won't be that good to you anymore. They will eat you alive. So, how do you structure a super thesis statement? Well, if you've been given an essay topic, the easiest way to write your thesis is simply to reword the topic. If your topic is write an essay about how reprogramming a roadside alert sign to warn the population about a zombie invasion affects driving habits, you can restructure the topic into your thesis. A good way to do this is to make a definitive statement about it. Are you pro or con? Either way, take a stand, just like you would against zombies. And here's a good one. Alerting drivers about zombie invasions affects driving habits by making motorists more cautious of hitchhikers. This is super specific and it makes strong word choices, especially at the beginning. In this case, alerting is a strong choice that also alerts the reader that your thesis statement is coming. If your teacher doesn't give you a specific topic, you still need to address the question you're exploring in your essay. You can start an argument. Draw conclusions about a subject, or thoroughly explore one main idea. Trying to tackle the history of zombie media in a 2 to 4 page essay, not a good idea. That essay will devour your brain and the brains of anyone who reads it. To start an argument, you need to make a bold statement. Zombies have a reputation for being brain-hungry monsters, but they are cuddly and warm in actuality. You just have to get to know one. Well, quite bold. To draw conclusions about a subject, you still need to make a bold statement. The zombie virus seems like a bad thing on the surface, but it will actually work to bring the world together. You may not get everyone on board with this one either, which is a good thing. Just keep in mind that the best way to write a strong thesis statement is to create an argument. If people aren't fighting over what you write, you're not doing it right. So how do you structure a thesis statement? Reword your topic. Make a stand. Start an argument. No matter what, make strong word choices. Oh, and your thesis statement should usually go at the end of your introductory paragraph, or thereabouts. A barricade at the back of your shelter won't do anyone any good. Good luck in there. Essay.
Okay. And I think we saw that in that kind of humorous little video that thesis statements need to be specific. They need to deal very specifically with a topic, but they also need to be broad enough to argue. As they were using the kind of humorous statement about the zombies, they can be a danger because, or a danger to drivers because drivers will be aware not to pick up hitchhikers. Very specific. So thesis statements have certain characteristics. They address the prompt clearly, and that is essential on the STAR test. It's always very important when you're writing your essay for the STAR test that you mention part of the prompt in your thesis statement. The prompt is dealing with, do you believe that students should be required to take a test in order to graduate? Your best thesis statement would be, students should be or students should not be required to take a formal exam in order to graduate. And then because they demonstrate knowledge throughout their career in school, or students need to be able to demonstrate knowledge. So yeah, it addresses the prompt. It mentions the prompt. It makes a claim. It presents an argument, and it is an arguable opinion. It should be in the first paragraph of the essay. A thesis statement is not a factual statement. In other words, you wouldn't write an essay. Students do take the STAR test in 9th and 10th grade to indicate that they understand English and are able to function well in society. Well, that's a fact. You're asked to make basically something that can be argued, or students study English 1, grammar and composition in high school. Okay, this is something we already know. That doesn't make a very good statement. It makes a good topic sentence, though. And that's not a thesis statement. Example, Bhutan is a small nation in South Asia. That would make a good topic sentence for a paragraph, but not a good thesis statement. Let's try to spot a thesis. On each of the following slides, read the writing prompt and the two sample statements. Check the option that is the best choice for a thesis. Okay, well, we've got an example. Early on in life, people develop an admiration for heroes. In a well-developed essay, discuss a person you admire and why you choose this person. Okay, that's our prompt. We develop an admiration for heroes. Now we're asked to put together a well-developed essay discussing a person we admire and why we chose that person. Let's see some example thesis. Option A. One person I admire is Babe Ruth, who played baseball from 1914 until 1935. Okay, is that a good thesis statement? Does that really address the prompt? You're asked to describe why you admire this person. Does this give us any indication as to why this person is one that you admire? Or option B, one person I admire is Babe Ruth, the greatest baseball player of all time. Hey, which of these two is the best thesis statement? Let's see. Okay, this is option A is not a good thesis statement. One person I admire is Babe Ruth, who played baseball from 1914 until 1935. It does address the writing prompt, but it's a factual statement. It should be something you can argue for or against. In other words, I've kind of limited myself in this prompt. I've told you that he played baseball from 1914 until 1935. I can describe his career, but I don't tell you why I admire him. So it's really not very complete there. Option B is the better thesis statement. One person I admire is Babe Ruth. He is the greatest baseball player of all time. The statement addresses a prompt. It also presents an opinion. Now you can tell us what he did from 1913 to 1935 that was so admirable. What made him such a great baseball player? Yeah, that's fine that we know when he did this, but what about this career that you so admired? What did he do during that career that made him so unique to you? Okay, thesis statements. Essay topics. Think of an invention that has completely transformed society. In an informative essay, identify the invention and explain how it has positively or negatively affected society. The invention of the traffic light significantly improved automobile travel by managing traffic effectively and creating a safer driving environment. Hey, yeah, this is good. Notice what makes this a strong thesis statement. This traffic light has improved automobile traffic or travel by managing traffic effectively and creating a safer driving environment. He hasn't just made the statement, traffic lights are good. So I think that that's a good invention. So yeah, I have addressed the prompt, but I haven't told you, I haven't been very specific there. I haven't told you why or traffic lights are significant or a good invention. So I've gone on and I've explained that in my thesis. They manage traffic. They created a safer traffic environment. Let's see a poor version here. Traffic light is a good invention. It's changed society for the better. Okay, so unspecific, so unclear. I haven't narrowed down my prompt. I've just said, yeah, it's good. It's changed society. I'm giving you no idea. This thesis can't drive my essay. It's really not specific enough to do that. It's just not clear enough. In this essay, I will discuss various reasons why the invention of the traffic light was beneficial to our society. Well, why not include some of those reasons in the thesis? Narrow it down, make it specific. Revising poor thesis statements. Why are these poor statements? Analyze their shortcomings and revise each one so that it is strong. Example 1, this paper will examine and explain what makes a good leader. Okay, why don't we start out with a good leader is an individual who shows integrity and courage in the face of difficult situations. Okay, let's revise it. It certainly is not specific enough. It is not dealing with the prompt to the point that it's giving us some kind of direction there. Example 2, high school has very important parts. One is learning from your mistakes. Okay. Problem with this, why don't we say that in high school, we learn many things like learning from our mistakes, social skills, ways to better state our premises as we're dealing with things. Here, once again, we need to be specific. We need to also kind of address some of our ideas that we're going to see later in the essay. Okay, example 3. When experience a drought, it's important to conserve water. Better way might be dealing with drought. We need to focus on water conservation, on water transfer, and water containment. Okay, be specific and also, or very good, experiencing a drought is very important because, or controlling drought is very important because it forces us to conserve water and maintain other systems of gaining water or developing other methods of water control and technology to control our water. In other words, be very specific, but also in that thesis, consider some of your arguments and how that thesis is going to drive those arguments and drive the paper. It needs to be specific and yet also narrow enough to focus on 3 clear arguments. Okay, coherent and strong thesis. What is that? Can we identify a strong thesis from a weak one? Let's see what we understand. Let's use the template, virtual students, or the handout, in-person students, and let's see if we can identify what makes a thesis statement strong and coherent. Okay, here's our template. Okay, we're going to read and analyze. All criminals are bad people who need to be locked up. Okay, I'd say that's a weak statement. It really is just too broad. criminals may need to be, for a while, locked up, but they may not be bad people. And by the same token, I think you need to define what you're talking about as far as who the criminals are. You're entirely too general here. Implementing a school uniform policy benefits students, faculty, and parents. Okay, once again, that's too general. It's too broad. You might be a little bit more specific. How is this wonderful thing going to benefit these people? John Steinbeck is an American author. Okay, I would say that's probably not addressing the prompt. It's just basically a declarative statement. And so therefore it's too general. Have you ever wondered what happens to recycled plastic? Okay, that might be, in fact, a good thesis statement. You can explain. In fact, it would be. It certainly is a good attention getter. Okay, volunteering is a good way to build a resume and gain valuable work experience. This is excellent. It's an excellent thesis statement. It certainly is something we can argue. We've made it very clear. It's a good way to build your resume. It's a good way to gain valuable experience. Now, I'm going to let you answer the other 9 on your own, letting you use what you consider. Okay, how do we revise some weak thesis statements? We need to rewrite the statements in a way that makes them clear and more specific. If you're asked to write about a strong leader, think of those characteristics that make someone a strong and moral leader. Okay, let's look. This paper will examine a good leader. What makes a good leader? Okay, what's incorrect here? Why don't we make it more specific? Rather than saying this paper will examine, let's start out with a good leader is, okay, and how do we revise it? I would say a good leader is an individual that shows strong moral character and is one that is an individual that has a clear direction for the group that he is leading. Okay, high school has many important parts. One is learning from your mistakes. Okay, why don't we make this a little bit clearer? It has many important parts. I think, why don't we go ahead and describe some of those important parts? High school is a place where you learn from your mistakes and gain social skills that will assist you in the rest of your life. Okay. The next one, when experiencing a drought, it's important to conserve water. Okay, we need to make this a little bit broader. Um, a drought is a good time to develop those systems such as water conservation and water and technology that will allow us to gain water from other areas than rain. So, how about, let me try this. A drought is a good time to develop technology that will enable us to conserve water and develop and gain water from other areas than rain and nearby rivers. So, in conclusion, I think we see that a thesis statement has to be clear, it has to be concise, it has to present an arguable opinion in order to be strong and coherent. We must always be mindful of the fact that the thesis is the backbone of the essay. So it has to be clear and concise. Okay. I think we saw, and I appreciate your going through the presentation with me. I know that it's many times we do make mistakes when we write our essays because our thesis, that's really where a lot of students are having problems when they're writing their composition for the STAR test. Their thesis is too weak, it's too broad, it's too general. So I think we learned some ideas today. Narrow it down, make it specific. Sometimes we want to include some of the arguments we're going to present, or at least how we're going to present those arguments in the essay, in that thesis. Let it drive the essay. Okay, for students who are online, students who are virtual, using the template to answer questions on this essay will, or on this focused instruction, will act as unit activity grades, test grades, can even be EOS or post-test grades. And for students in person, I have the handouts, or you can use the template. Thank you for letting me share this lesson with you today. And let's start with the thesis, and then next let's move on to the introduction. Thank you for letting me share today.